Welcome to this live stream. Please let me know in the comments if you can hear me well, because what I have to share today is extremely important and relevant to all of your lives. And I want to make sure that the audio comes across well. So please let me know if you can hear me good. Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So I'm just going to let a couple of more people join. In the meantime, guys, please let me know your name, age, where you're from, where you're watching from, where are you tuning in from, how much experience do you have with magic. Now, please keep it short because you can't post very long comments here. But just give me a couple of bullet points. I want to know who you are. So let me know your name, your age, how many years of experience you have with magic, and how long you've been following me, how long you've been watching my stuff. That's truly interesting to me. So just put it in the chat. Okay. So today, on today's live stream, I want to talk about the origins, the symbol of the Grail of the Serpent, and where it actually originated, where it came from. Now, this current seal of the Grail of the Serpent, as you can see it, the red triangle with the serpent in it, originated thousands of years ago. It is actually extremely ancient, very, very old. Now, this world is controlled by evil sorcerers and has been controlled by evil sorcerers for thousands of years. This is what I call the spirit prison matrix. Okay? The spirit prison matrix. And they have created an invisible prison for human souls. It consists of societies, its laws, rituals that are being performed in front of the eyes of the uninitiated in order to harvest energy. All of society, with its laws, its wars, its legal system, its banking system, all of that is essentially a big magical ritual performed by evil sorcerers. And they use symbols, energy fields, egregores, spirits, all of that to harvest energy. And they funnel that energy towards themselves and towards their gods. So this is who controls the world, evil sorcerers. Magic controls the world. Yes, it does. Now, these evil magicians have been in power for thousands of years. And this is what I call the spirit prison matrix, because souls that are, for whatever reason, there are different reasons why souls come into this reality frame or reality dimension, so to speak, onto this planet, this prison planet. They come for different reasons, but all humans share the same destiny. They're supposed to be harvested for their energy. Okay. And they go through lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. The uh, Even the reincarnation process has been hijacked by those magicians and their spiritual allies, their non-human allies. And this is how people reincarnate back into this spirit prison matrix, into this prison planet, unless they develop themselves to a certain level and they can't escape. But this is the game that's being played on this planet for a very long time. So this symbol the Grail of the Serpent, in that context, plays a very crucial role because it connects people to their so-called daemon. This is not demon. Daemon is a god self. That's a person's god self, the highest emanation, and their connection to a power that is unstoppable, essentially. Okay. The connection to your god self, to your so-called daemon, is also the source of all your magical power. Now, if you want to do true magic, you have to connect to your daemon. You can't do that through another magical system. Okay, you have to do that through your daemon. Now, the seal of the Grail of the Serpent, as I found out, is a gateway through which all people that have the correct code can connect to their God self directly. And this is what I'm going to lay out now. And I'm going to explain to you how that was discovered. So, years ago, I was fighting astral battles with those evil sorcerers. Okay. I'm still at war with them. I'm their one of their most dangerous enemies because I actually liberate people. I actually free people. So they are at war with me. I'm at war with them. That war takes place astrally, energetically. Now, during one of those battles, astrally, I essentially went into the heart of their empire, infiltrated it, and before I got caught, I was able to capture an astral seal, and I took it away from them in the heart of the empire. I took it away, and as I came back to my body out of that astral travel, of course, I remembered that symbol. I remember that symbol, and then this was before AI or something like that. It was that's a couple of that's 6 7 years ago. So I couldn't just type in what I wanted, but I had that image, and I found two images that resembled that, and I told an ally of mine who was capable with graphics and all that stuff to put them together to create that seal that I had received astrally, or basically won in a battle astrally. And he put that together, and it resembled the seal that I had conquered on the astral perfectly. Okay. Now I took it out of the heart of the empire, out of the heart of the empire of the evil sorcerers that control this planet. I knew it was powerful, but I didn't completely know at that point what it was for. But it was a sign of liberation because from the beginning, ever since I started the Grail of the Serpent, my motto was rebellion, liberation, and mastery. So to me, this symbol represented another one battle against the evil sorcerers that control this planet, that have constructed this spirit prison matrix. And it was another symbolic statement that represented my motto: rebellion, liberation, mastery. I rebelled against those evil sorcerers. I fought a battle. I won. I made it into the heart of the empire, and I could take their symbol of power, and I made it my own. I stole it from them, took it from them after a battle. So rebellion, liberation, mastery. You see. Now, as I kept working with that symbol, it revealed many, many different secrets to me. It is a gateway through which people get connected to their daemon, which is, please understand, which is the key to keeping people enslaved. The reason why these evil sorcerers that have constructed and created this spirit prison matrix can keep so many souls enslaved is because they can disconnect them from higher awareness. None of this system would work if people were connected to their higher selves. You get what I'm saying? People are trapped here and they can't escape because they can't access their own source of power, their so-called daemon, aka their higher self, their God self. You understand? So this symbol is extremely dangerous, and it represents because it is the gateway through which any person can get in contact with their God self, with their daemon, and build a working relationship with it. It represents rebellion, liberation, mastery. It represents an escape point from the spirit prison matrix through which all people that have the right code on how to open it, how to connect to their higher self, their God self, can it start escaping the the spirit prison matrix. They can begin to connect to their God self and liberate themselves. And as I kept working with that symbol, this and many, many more secrets were revealed to me. And it was also revealed to me that, first of all, it is my life's purpose, of course, to liberate as many people as possible from the spirit prison matrix, to connect as many people as possible to their daemon, aka God self. And if we do this at a critical mass, we truly have the ability to transform and change this planet and um, the reality that we experience here. But it all begins with you connecting to your God self, your higher self, your daemon. Now, yesterday and the day before, I was creating a newsletter that goes into the creation, into exactly what I'm talking about here. Yeah, this is synchronicity, Ivan. Great. Thank you for that question. This is synchronicity. You see, I was about to talk exactly about that question here. So yesterday and the day before, I was writing a newsletter that goes into the origin story and the origins of the seal of the Grail of the Serpent. It's essentially the long form version of what I just gave you a summary of. And within that newsletter, you will also receive ritualistic instruction on how you can use the seal of the Grail of the Serpent to connect to your God self, to your higher self. Okay. And so if you have not subscribed to the newsletter yet, I recommend that you do that because that email will be sent out today. That newsletter, including the origin story of the Grail of the Serpent or the seal of the Grail of the Serpent, as well as how to ritualistically connect to your God self through it, is going to be sent out today. So I highly, highly recommend that you sign up for the newsletter. How do you do that? Go onto my YouTube channel and go into a form of video that I did. Just look for Spirit Prison Matrix in the title, and you'll be able to sign up for the newsletter, and you're gonna get that. Okay, you're probably gonna get the welcome email first, and then you're gonna get the newsletter. So this is my gift from me to you, a seal that I attained and was able to steal from those evil sorcerers, which is essentially was at the heart of the empire, the heart of those evil sorcerers' empire. At the heart of it, that symbol existed, and it was kept from humans for a very long time, for thousands of years, because it is the key through which people can connect with their God self, their daemon, their higher self. You see? Hold on, we got comments here, guys. You can comment already if you would like. Of course, you can comment questions. You don't have to wait. Let me see. We got some comments here. And I'm always interested where you guys are from, how old you are, how long you've been following the Grail of the Serpent, where you heard about me, your experience with magic, how long you've been practicing. I welcome everybody. I welcome seasoned magicians. I welcome beginners, intermediate practitioners, because listen, we're all in this fight together. Okay? We're all in this fight together. We're all fighting the same evil sorcerers that are trying to keep us trapped in the spirit prison matrix. Our potential as a species is fantastic. It's incredible. It's godlike from a normal human perspective. But they're keeping us away from our power, and instead they've been harvesting harvesting our life force and taking it away from us. So whether you want it or not, you're in this war, but you of course have a choice to ignore this battle. But without beginning to fight the war, you have no chance of winning it, of course. So become an ally of mine is what I'm trying to say. We need to come together more than ever. We need to come together more than ever, connect to our daemons, our god selves, and come together as a force that can transform this reality inside out. Because what you see as a physical manifestation is always a reflection of something spiritual. So we need to work together on the spiritual to transform this world. And we have that power. Hello, Frank. Newsletters. Yeah, I just answered that question. Last night I thought about a Grail of the Serpent seal, and now you are talking about it. Synchronicity. Nine. No, 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 no. Is the daemon same as the Holy Guardian Angel from the Adeptus Minor grade of the Hermetic Order of the No, it is not the same thing. The Holy Guardian Angel is anything but holy, and it is not benevolent. It isn't. It is another mechanism to vampirize you. It is not the same thing. Has nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. You don't need an initiatic order to connect to your God self. What you need is a ritualistic process that allows you to connect to your daemon right away. Okay, here's the thing. Why? Let's imagine you go to a church. Why would the Pope or a preacher, any of those guys, have a better connection or a greater connection with God than you, if I may ask? If according to their own religion, we're all the children of God. So why has the Pope better connection with God than you? He doesn't. You get what I'm saying? So why do you need to go through the grades of the Adeptus Minor, whatever, and of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn to connect to your Holy Guardian Angel? That's bullshit. You get what I'm saying? What you need a direct connection with your higher self. Nobody has a better connection with your higher self, with your God self than you. Like, isn't that kind of like that makes sense, no? So the seal of the Grail of the Serpent is a direct connection. You open that up, there's a ritualistic process, and you will get directly connected to your God self, your daemon. Has nothing to do with this holy guardian angel bullshit. All right. So please make that clear. But thank you for that question. That needs to be clarified because I have received that question multiple times, and that needs to be clarified. So thank you for asking that question. What's the relationship between you and your daemon? Are you equals? Are you his subordinate? Do you worship it? Now, what is you, if I may ask? What do you think you are? Do you think you're your government name, your body, any of that? Your daemon is an immortal, timeless God self. It's a God form, okay? That has spent countless lives in multiple different bodies, okay? So your daemon is much greater than your current physical identity, but in reality, it is also your true identity, if that makes sense. Okay. It is much greater than your current government name or government identity and all these things. Much more than your current incarnation, but it encompasses the totality of your of yourself, which is much greater than you realize at this point. It's a god, it's a goddess in your case. What else should we know about contacting our daemon? Well, the seal of the Grail of the Serpent, as will be revealed in the newsletter that I'm going to send out today, is exactly um, gives you a step-by-step process that allows you to connect through that through that symbol. You see, I'm from Serbia, and my country is in total chaos since last November after the tragedy that happened on a railway station. I hope those protests will bring a change soon. For example, is it possible after connection to the daemon to get wealthy fast so it could be used to fight the system from the inside? Everybody, well, I have connected many people to their daemon already, and each one of those daemons has a specific superpower, you could say. It's a god form, okay? I have connected people to their daemon that are that are gods of wealth. Yes, their daemon or their higher self is a god of wealth. Another one has is a god or a goddess of good luck. Another one is a god of art. Another one is a god of. There are many different different daemons. Whatever your daemon is, I can't tell you that right now. But your daemon is a specific god self that has specific powers, if that makes sense. It represents a specific frequency, and that is its personal style. Now, of course, you can use that type of magic for anything. You can use that for money magic, for any kind of magic, of course. So the bottom line is this: your daemon and um, your higher god self is an extremely powerful force. For what you use that is up to you. It depends on how you work with it, how dedicated you are to it, and how much energy you put into it. Okay. But yes, of course, I've seen people manifest loads and loads and loads of money with it. Is there a link to the newsletter? I would like to subscribe. Yeah, go to the grailoftheserpent.com. Go to grailoftheserpent.com and just scroll a little bit down, and there will be you will have the ability to join the newsletter. Just type in your email there. What is the relationship between the daemon and the source of all things? Very good question, Sarah. Very good question. So imagine the following thing. You have different glass windows. Okay. So there's a glass window that is yellow. There's another one that is green. There's another one that is red. Okay. And there's another one that is, let's say, blue. The sunlight, the light that shines through those different glass windows is the same, but it gets filtered through that glass window differently. And this is the same with consciousness. Consciousness is a continuum. The whole universe is one big system, but it expresses itself through different consciousnesses, so to speak. Okay. And your God self is one specific way for this totality to express itself. Now, humans represent one level. Okay. And we got other forms of life that represent other levels. But your God self is a very highly evolved. It's a God within this greater system of existence. From a human perspective, it's God's. It's godlike, okay, and it exists still within this larger system, but it is one particular expression of this of the universe, if that makes sense. Okay, source of all things, as you called it. So that is how it works. Hope that answers your question. You're supposed to evolve into that. What is the power source of this God self? How does it maintain itself and can it cease to exist? Well, see, the laws of energy, when it comes to higher levels like that, don't work in the same way as they work in the physical dimension. Okay. So the God self exists in a timeless space, okay, where time works differently. And it's a matter of you connecting to it. So see it like this. There's a near infinite amount of energy, but the container and its connection to the greater flow of energy in the universe determines how much energy is available. Okay. Energy is another word for power. So your energy field right now is not connected up to a greater source of power. So the energy that you can generate and the power that you have access to is quite limited. As you link up with with this God self, your reservoir of energy that becomes accessible to you is much greater, and with that comes much greater power. You see, and maintaining itself works very analogous to how you maintain yourself in this world. There's energy that you take in, you process that energy, and there are end products, which is also energy. And that end product is once again the input for another system and processes and that gets processed. Now, in the 3D world, of course, there's entropy. So in the your biological body, as it spends time here, will age and eventually decay. Okay. So this is entropy. This is the effect of entropy. In these higher states, this entropy doesn't necessarily exist. It's because entropy requires forward causality, if that makes sense. Okay, so it needs time. Time and entropy are connected. When you operate in a space of timelessness, entropy is no longer that much of a factor. Okay, so this is why we can still connect with gods of old. We can still connect to gods of ancient Egypt, gods of other pantheons, and we can still tap into their force, and we can still connect ourselves up with that power. Now, the problem is that these gods do not work for you, if that makes sense. Your god self works with you, for you, in harmony with you. It's actually your true identity, and it's a near, it's a very, very powerful source of energy. However, as I'm also going to lay out in the newsletter, it is important that you dedicate everything that you do to your God self, because this is where the energy comes from. So, yesterday I laid out a certain framework where you could do physical exercise, which is real power. So let's say push ups, there's real energy behind that. And you could dedicate that to your goal, if that makes sense. Okay. Your God self is an energy field that you can feed through physical actions, through lifting weight, through push-ups, through whatever. There are many different ways on how you can feed that. I'm going to lay that out in the newsletter as well. And this is how you can store energy inside of your God self, essentially inside of your daemon, and build it up that way. And it can then be used for ritual purposes. There's a concept called volt. Okay, volts are essentially astral batteries, pockets of astral thought forms where you store energy and you discharge it at the right time. You could say that your daemon works similarly, where your energy, the energy that you produce, can be sent towards your God self and feed it, and it can then flow through you back into your goal again, if that makes sense. Okay, I'm gonna lay that out in the newsletter, but it's a give and take. You have to dedicate yourself to your daemon. The more you dedicate yourself to it, the more you're gonna get back. Okay, good. Barden saw the connection to the higher self only as means to connect with source. Do you share that opinion? Well, yes and no. But see, this is purely speculation because whatever answer I give you right now will sound theoretical to you because I guarantee you have not connected to your higher self yet. You will gain a lot of different perspective once you have connected to your daemon. So this theoretical question here is irrelevant. This is something that I don't enjoy necessarily talking about because this is mental masturbation. Whatever answer I give you, you're not going to be able to apply it in any way, shape, or form. So it's mental masturbation. And this is a characteristic, or rather, mental masturbation is what most magicians do. Most people that study the occult never even practice. They're mental masturbators. To them, this is like a game of Dungeons and Dragons. It's a pastime activity. Okay. And what I want you to do is to focus on the practical work. And the practical work itself is going to answer all of those questions. This is what's lacking in the world today in general. People do not take action. People don't actually walk the path. People talk the talk, but they don't walk the walk. And this is what we need to change. Do these evil sorcerers have complete control over their god self? How can we help in this fight? No, they do not have complete control over their god self. They actually are lost. They're empty shells, and they were lured in by the promise of power, and they have gained material power, but they're empty shells. They're being controlled by other entities. So they were lured in by the promise of power, but they lost themselves in the process. And how can we help in this fight? Follow the teachings of the Grail of the Serpent and connect to your daemon, and follow the structure that I lay out in the newsletter and other things. Okay, connect to your. I'm providing you with the tools. Is it possible to work with the daemon and use twice the leverage on day trading consistently, or should we work with specific spirits for that? Well, my friend, the 90-90-90 rule. Okay, if you're trying to get rich by day trading, you're making a grave mistake. Okay. What you need to do is you need to make money first and then use a percentage of that on day trading and use low risk in order to grow that. Okay, this fantasy that you're following here uh, is most likely not going to work, which has been proven by many other things. What is way smarter is to understand the cycles in the markets. And the first thing that you have to understand is that any market is manipulated. So you need the right source of information. Okay, you need to know smart money moves. You need to know smart money trading. You need to understand when people front run trades. Any market is manipulated, and it is manipulated to take your money. Okay, your daemon is not what you're supposed to use in that context. Your daemon can be used to make money in other ways, but it's not going to control the entire market for you. What you should do is you should understand the mechanisms of the market and time them according to financial astrology, for example. And that is you're going to have much greater chances with that. Okay, so, financial astrology, knowing when the market is going to move in a certain direction, and you can absolutely, according to astrological tables, you'll be able to know what direction the market's going to take. And based on that, you can use not day trading, but something like swing trading. That's a much better bet. But this is a way too detailed question that I'm not going to answer here. But the bottom line is this: don't make this your only strategy. What steps do you recommend to connect with the Damon Daily? Get the newsletter. Sign up for my newsletter. Go to thegrailoftheserpent.com, scroll a little bit down. You will have the opportunity to just sign up for that newsletter. And that newsletter is going to give you exact steps on how to connect to your daemon and how to stay in contact with it. Um, Are there clues that can be followed to identify the thought forms representing one's daemon? My likes, dislikes, inclinations are pretty wide. How can I narrow them down? Yeah. Well, your birth chart is a good starting point. Your birth chart, your practical implications. Sorry, your inclinations, if that makes sense. Things that you're attracted to, things that you're pulled away from. But see, when it comes to your daemon or your higher self, we're not talking about, oh, I like yogurt. She likes chocolate. He likes bubble gums or whatever, right? We're not talking about some petty bullshit like this. We're talking about natural talents that a person is born with, things that just come naturally to them, or the complete opposite. For example, a god or like let's say the daemon or the higher god self is a god of youthfulness, which I've connected the person to that. That person will be 30 years old but look like they're 15 or 12, if that makes sense. Okay, so it's kind of like the once the connection with the god self has been made, and the nature of that god has been revealed, it will become self-evident. Okay, so I can't answer that generically, but I can give you that concrete example that I just explained. How can you make your magic very practical? What does practical mean? Meaning get results with it. Connect to your daemon. Use a very simple ritualistic framework and repeated processes to improve it. Okay, so what you're going to receive very soon is the magical system of the Grail of the Serpent. The magical system of the Grail of the Serpent begins with the connection to your daemon, which is going to be your power source. And you begin feeding that daemon through daily ritual. And then there's a certain character that you have to build. The character is what? A certain behavior code that prevents you from receiving negative feedback. It's a spiritual protection that you build around yourself based on behaviors. Okay. This is a codified way on how to be. A codified way on how to be. Okay. Everything codified, meaning you know exactly what to do and what not to do. And based on those principles, you build your character. Now you have the daemon. The character itself is an energy field. Now the daemon can fully express itself. The energy can flow through you. This gives you enormous magical power. Now, the next task that you have is you're dealing with an invisible universe because 99% of what exists is not visible to the eyes. You can't pick it up with the physical senses, but it's the universe that we work with when it comes to energy. The magic operates in this invisible universe, and there are laws to this invisible universe. So you learn the laws of this invisible universe, and there are certain there's a certain magic that works for you, and there's and many other forms of magic that do not work for you. So through trial and error, through running experiments, through doing different rituals, you have to figure out what works for you. And there's a codified algorithm that I teach in which you get feedback. You have very little investment, meaning you don't put too much effort into it, but you test a lot. You test a lot and you analyze the feedback that you receive. And through this process, you will be able to figure out what works for you specifically. You will essentially develop your own magic that is in alignment with this character and your daemon. And now all of these things are harmonized and aligned. And remember, the daemon is in harmony with the universe. The universe is in harmony with the daemon. The daemon is in harmony with the character. And now your magic and the magic that you do is customized and individualized for you. You get what I'm saying? This is how it's done correctly. You can't just take a generic system and try to make it your own. It's not going to work, which is proven by millions of people around the world that try magic and they don't get results because it has to be individualized. You see what I mean? And the system of the Grail of the Serpent teaches you exactly how to create your own magic, how to connect to your daemon, which is connected to the universe, which is the source of all energy. Now the daemon can flow through you because you've built that character, and now you run experiments to isolate the things that work for you, and you will have your own magical, your customized, individualized, personal magical system, and you have your own magic, which only feeds your God self, which allows you to have super powerful results all the time, and you will be the champ. This is how it's done correctly, and this is the magical system of the Grail of the Serpent. And these are the elements that you need. It needs to be highly individualized. You're not somebody else. You're a complete individual, and your magic needs to be individualized as well. Now, within this magical system of the Grail of the Serpent, the seal of the Grail of the Serpent plays a key role because it is the gateway for your daemon. Do you understand? So through the seal of the Grail of the Serpent, you will always have a connection and a gateway to your daemon. And everything that you do in terms of divination, for example, in our magical system, is done on top of the seal of the Grail of the Serpent. Rituals always have a specific sequence on how things are assembled around the seal of the Grail of the Serpent. In this case, and remember, the seal of the Grail of the Serpent represents the connection to your daemon. So the constellation of things around the seal of of the Grail of the Serpent represents the constellation of things around your daemon. So let's say you want to change a certain situation, you transform it around the seal of the Grail of the Serpent, on top of it, around it, and that represents your daemon doing the work for you. Okay, so this is maybe not that easy to visualize as I'm speaking of it, but you will get this all in writing as you become more involved with the teachings of the Grail of the Serpent. But in our magical system, from the cards that we use to the divination tools that we use to the rituals that we do, it all must revolve around our our God self, because this is the source of power. We don't give power to any other entity but our own God selves. You see, and yeah, like I said, all divinations that you do, all evocations that you do, are revolving around that as well. You have to understand that when you work with a spirit, let's say, I don't know, you do evocations specific with a specific angelic entity. That angelic entity always has emissaries or legions that work for it. Why do you think that is different when it comes to your God self? Because it isn't. Your God self has sub aspects to it that will be part of your magic. So you will be able to evoke the sub spirits, the legions of your own God self. Also, of course, the prerequisite is the seal of the Grail of the Serpent, and that will make sure that you're able to work with them. And of course, they will work for you because they are aspects of your higher self, so to speak. So all of that is dependent on the seal of the Grail of the Serpent. And once again, the origins of this seal are extremely ancient, and they've been hidden. I mean, the seal has been hidden for thousands of years, and it is a connection to your God self. That's why it's so dangerous, and that's why I'm putting myself into so much danger revealing it. You get what I'm saying? Don't you think that makes me an enemy of very powerful magicians and evil sorcerers? Of course. But I'm going to take these hits. I've been taking hits for years, man. I'm okay with that. That's fine. No worries. So this is my answer to the question: how can you make your magic very practical? There, at what point in your spiritual journey did you discover your God self, Damon? And as you've gotten older and developed in spiritual knowledge, has your practice changed? My God self, I got connected to fully in 2012, already as Sopax. That was it went through multiple stages and multiple layers were revealed, but fully in 2012. It wasn't during an initiation, a whole weekend of initiations where I didn't sleep for 4 days. I was awake 4 days straight, and that was taking place in Berlin, in in a in a place called Berlin Mitte. Berlin Mitte. That's kind of like a, what you call it? It's like a neighborhood part of the city of Berlin, and I didn't sleep for 4 days straight. 2012, yeah. That was the initiation where got fully connected to that. Okay, there's a lot of people who talk about this demon. Look, bro. This is not a demon. This is a daemon. Daemon, not Demon. Okay, that's why we're going to talk from now on. We're going to talk about God self. We're not going to talk about daemon or demon because in this, unfortunately, people have too many associations when it comes to these words. So from now on, we're going to talk about God self instead of daemon. Okay. All right. So I accidentally drew a sigil I used in the past for a different goal. What would happen if I energize it? How can I avoid using duplicates? And well, you should use a new one. When in doubt, just create a new sigil because you don't want you don't want to cause unwanted um unwanted ripple effects and feedback loops. Why are these evil sorcerers still in power despite the negative feedback loops they have been causing for centuries? Because as they go through the transformation process, this doesn't happen at once, but as they go into those levels, as they get deeper and deeper involved with this stuff, they lose themselves. There are cults, families, lineages out there that have been involved with this for thousands of years, and they get born into these families. They get born into these lineages, and they keep perpetuating the cycle. So now empires, that's true. Empires rise and fall. That's for sure. Okay. Empires rise and fall. In the last thousands of years, of course, we had multiple empires, but these empires are just physical expressions of an invisible spiritual empire. So these lineages have existed in ancient Sumeria, ancient Egypt, Rome, Greece, and they changed locations, but it's the same cult, the same lineage, if that makes sense. Okay. So they stay in power because they keep the knowledge hidden and they can understand cycles and they can understand what is happening, you know. And they're in the process right now as we speak. They're in the process of moving places again. You know, the empire that used to be America or is falling apart. You see, this is inevitable. And they're still and these lineages that had their headquarters for the last centuries in the US are moving away as well. They're looking for new um, physical headquarters, so to speak. But it's still the same cult. You get what I'm saying? Still the same powers behind the curtain. You know, there's a difference between a physical empire and a physical lineage and an energetic lineage. It's also not the same genetic makeup. Okay, so it doesn't mean that these families stay genetically the same. You know, there's intermarriage. There's like this and that and the other. You know, so the important thing is the coherence and yeah, the coherence of the energy field. The energy field needs to be transferred. It's not necessarily objects or people or territories or countries. All of this shit is irrelevant. What's really relevant is the codes, the energy codes that program reality. And those are being transferred. And people are born into this shit or indoctrinated very, very young and trained to raise up the ranks. And in the process, they, of course, lose themselves completely and they get completely possessed by these forces. Because in reality, these people don't serve themselves, they are vessels for evil entities. So evil sorcerers are not humans. You don't have to look at them. Don't look at them as just another person that wants money and status and all that stuff. These evil sorcerers are literally possessed by evil spirits. There's no human consciousness left, if you get what I'm saying. They don't think like humans. They also don't have empathy like humans. They're literally gone. They're empty vessels for evil forces. Okay. Is your mind 24/7 on your daemon goals? From now on, we're going to call it God self. Okay. Is your daemon is your is your mind 24/7 on your God self goals, or do you let go sometimes to eat, talk to people, etc.? See, like I said earlier, you can dedicate any kind of activity and any kind of energy to your God self. So as I'm speaking here, for example, I mean, before I started this live stream, I dedicated it to my daemon, meaning the energy that I'm exerting here. As I'm speaking, as I'm answering questions, as I have mental activity and verbal activity and real life force being used up to answer these questions and to create this live stream, I dedicate this energy to my God self. So now this very real energy that I'm generating is being sent to the so-called the address to the energy field of my God self. So anything that you do can be turned into an offering to your God self. So there is no mundane activity. When I eat, I have to like I'm consuming calories. This is real energy. And as my body expresses itself, as my body shows life expression, this energy will be transformed into something, into raw energy. Now it is up to me to direct that energy towards something. And as I say, look at a religious person, look at a Christian, a devout Christian. What is that person's going to do? He's going to pray to his God before he eats the food. What do you think is going to happen? That energy, these energies are now evaporating, body heat activities. So the energy of that food goes towards his God. So you can do the same thing and feed your God self doing that. So before you eat, you dedicate the food, and how to do that. Once again, it's going to be revealed in the newsletter. So get the newsletter, sign up for the newsletter. I'm going to teach you guys how to dedicate anything that you do to your own God self, how to connect to your God self first, and then how to do anything um, that you do and dedicate it to your God self. So what I do is before I eat, before I drink a coffee, I dedicate it in a codified way. I dedicate this drink to my daemon, to my God self. That means that the energy that's going to be created by the caffeine and all that stuff, all this nervous energy, is going to go towards my daemon. Before I do this live stream, I dedicate this live stream to my daemon. The energy that I'm creating here is feeding my God self as well. You see what I mean? So anything and everything can be used as fuel for your God self, and there is no mundane activity. There's no mundane activity because the energy has to go somewhere. When I'm speaking, I'm causing vibrations. These vibrations are real energy. So the question is, am I using that for what I want or not? Do I just waste it, or do I use it to feed my God self? You see, and this energy can then be later used in ritual. It makes me more powerful magically. Okay, so what type of magic does not work in your opinion? Generic magic does not work. Generic magic. Magic has to be individualized, then it works. If it is not individualized, it cannot work because it's not part of your life. It's not part of your energy field. Magic is nothing but energy work at a high level. And in order to make it work, it has to be compatible with your already existing energetic system. This is why magic needs to be individualized, you see. And this is why I have created the system of the Grail of the Serpent. so that you can connect to your God self through the seal of the Grail of the Serpent. This is why I have battled evil sorcerers. I've been in the heart of their evil empire, and I won battles to steal the seal from them and bring it back to us because it's been stolen from us, from humans. It's been stolen from humanity to prevent them from connecting with their God self. And I brought it back. And that was a risky endeavor. It's still a risky endeavor for me to share that. I'm under constant attack. Listen, there is a law in the universe, which is any action creates an opposite and equal reaction. What I'm doing here goes against the spirit prison matrix, the evil, invisible, magical empire that has existed for thousands of years. So, do you think I'm receiving the feedback? I'm going against a force like this. What do you think I'm doing every night when I'm sleeping in the astral state and the dream state? I'm constantly at war, constantly. I'm being attacked. I'm already receiving threats, and energetically, I'm constantly, I'm under attack. Uh, my astral experience is constant war, but it is worth it, and it comes with the territory. It's force against force. There's dark, there's light, there's action, there's reaction, and this is what I have to deal with, and I'm okay with that. I'm paying the price. I'm paying the price for all of you, and for everyone who um, will connect to their God self. But you see, something that I said yesterday on a live stream is still holds true. I believe that humans are existing, and I know that we all know that we're existing below our potential, and our future, the future that we could create for humanity is godlike. We can be the forefront of a new species, a future of humanity that is truly godlike, and we can create a future for our descendants that is absolutely amazing. But and I said in a yesterday, I said that if I could make the choice, if somebody came to me and gave me the choice, listen, Frank, you can make sure that the people that you love or the people that you care about never suffer again, ever, and they will have beautiful lives for forever, never suffer again. But in turn, you must suffer 24/7, forever, eternally. I would take that deal. I would gladly suffer for the people that I care about forever, nonstop. That's okay. That's okay. So, in the same sense, I'm taking those hits. Uh I'm taking the attacks, I'm taking the constant war that I'm in spiritually on the astral. I'm taking it. It's okay. So that other people can connect to their God self. It's not a safe thing that I'm doing, but it's worth it. It's worth it. Because what else are you gonna do? So this is my gift to you. Hopefully you use it. This own magical system will have its own terminology and entities, or can it be composed of parts of multiple existing systems? It cannot be composed of multiple parts of existing systems. No. Think about it. The system, and I'm gonna have to do videos on systemic thinking, which is how reality actually works. Most people just think linear. Okay. So I take this part of the system and I take this part of the system and then it works. Think about it. Look at a system that you're more or less familiar with. Look at your body. There's an organ system. Can you just take the heart of one person, the liver of another person, the stomach of another person, and whatever the lungs of another person, and and make it function? Do you think that's going to work? No. It has to be an organic system. You can't just take things and put them together. That's bullshit. You know, it has to be organically developed. All right, and It has to stand on solid foundation, solid understandings, and solid principles. And this is what the Grail of the Serpent, the system, the magical system of the Grail of the Serpent provides. It provides the connection to your daemon. It connects. It gives you the principles, the frameworks, and the methodologies, meaning the mindset tools, so that you can run experiments and develop your own magical system. You can't just take something from another system and put it into an existing system. That doesn't work. And you can't just take one part here, you can't just take one part here, this and create your own. That does not work. However, this is the approach that most people take because most people think linearly, but the world is not linear. It's a system, and there are feedback loops. Okay. I have roadblocks in my business. I'm considering to stop working and heavily use Psyche and EFT, Sedona instead to align myself for financial success first. Would this be a more efficient approach? That's a very, 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 very generic question. You see, my question would be the biggest problem that most products have is that the market doesn't want them. Okay, so first of all, like, what you offer, does it even have people that want it? That's the first question. Have you done the market research to figure out if people actually want it? Secondly, a verbal confirmation that people want it is not enough. You have to know if they're actually going to pay for it. So do you have an algorithm? Do you have a system to test an offer before you have invested months or years in creating the product? You could waste large sums of money, energy, time into the creation of a product that at the end of the day nobody wants, even though verbally they said I want it. The problem with market research is also that you never ask people what they want because they don't know what they want. Okay, Ford said that. Ford, the guy with the cars, he said if you had asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses instead of cars because they didn't have the concept of cars there. Okay, so you have to figure out a way to create something that people want by asking them what they want, but then kind of like reading between the lines, if that makes sense. Okay, you have to figure out what they actually want, and you have to provide that. Okay. Secondly, do you have the systems to produce that? Can you scale that offer? Like I don't know, like what all of these things mean. You see, this is another problem here. And it's not, look, I'm not criticizing you. This is not your problem. This is a problem generally in the world where people, also when it comes to business teachings or business courses, for example, business courses are way too generic. It's like magical teachings. Magical teachings for most people, for most, way too generic. It's a system. You have to individualize it. You have your own personal strengths, weaknesses, goals, your path, likes, dislikes, vision, purpose, all of these things. You see what I mean? And this business that you're talking about is an expression of you. So I can't give you a generic answer, but I can give you the methods, the frameworks, the principles, the way of thinking about this stuff so that you can figure it out for yourself. It's just like what I explained about the magical system of the Grail of the Serpent. I teach people the frameworks, the methods, the tools, the connection to their daemons so that they can actually create their own personal magical system, which actually works. So the real question is, does this business or these methods that you're trying to implement, does that work for you in your life, in your personal system, with your vibrations as well? A system is another, sorry, a business is another system that vibrates at a specific frequency. So what frequency does your business have right now? Can you imagine your business in terms of a frequency right now? It's an energy field with a frequency. What you're changing right now is a shock to the system. Will it survive that? So let's say your business right now is vibrating at, let's say, random number, 500 hertz. By you changing it like this, you're shocking the system. Can the system sustain a shock from 500 hertz up to 2000 hertz at once? Imagine that jump. Imagine something that exists at 500 hertz being raised up to 2000 hertz at once. It's going to blow, you're going to blow it up. It's going to fall apart. Systems don't like shocks. It's like a river or a lake. In a river or a lake, you can step by step introduce chemicals, and if it's not too much at once, the system can buffer that inflow. But if it's too much toxins at once, the lake is gonna die. So the fish are gonna die. The whole ecosystem is gonna get fucked because the system has been shocked. So the frequency of the energy field of the lake changed too fast, and the same applies to your business. You can't change things like that. Okay, and there's a lot more to say about that, but I'm sure you understand that I can't just answer this question simplistically like that. Are Reiki and rituals equally efficient? Too generic of a question. Were you getting ritual results from the start when starting magic? Yes. Okay. Hello. Somehow I ran into this live stream. Here I am. Okay. Very interesting videos about the magic and the occult. Now I know that you dedicated this live stream. Then it got to me. Quite interesting. Well, I don't fully understand what you're saying here, but okay, thank you. Mm, okay, guys. So I'm gonna wrap this up now. Like I said, go to the grailoftheserpent.com, sign up for the newsletter. I'm gonna today publish the origins of the seal of the Grail of the Serpent and a ritual that you can use to connect to your God self. And I'm gonna talk to you soon. Awesome. Bye.